Part 3 of surviving my stepson. So I asked T, is that how you do your mother? See, what I noticed with T was the first week T got here, he was trying to test my temperature or see how, as some people, see how close he could get to me, physically get close to my body. And I pick up on things like that. Like I said, I'm a mental health therapist and a social worker, and I pick up on all kinds of social cues, behavioral problems, patterns, etc. So, and I've also had a lot of, practice with people in my everyday life where I've noticed how people would like to, try to touch me or reach over my neck, my head and all that to try to get some type of rise out of me. Some of these Caucasian men out here to try to violate me. I digress. So T, the first week he was here, and I paid it no mind because, T knew that I was packing every day, just like, so, etc. about that. So it was like, I'm not concerned about that, So I noticed he would come up to me. And he would kind of tap me on the shoulder, good morning, Ma. Good morning. And I'm like, good morning, T. And then I noticed, he would start kind of hitting me on my shoulder. Good morning, Ma. And I'm like, okay, good morning. I said, T, I don't kind of like that. Don't do that, okay? I was just giving you a light pat, T was feeling the waters out. He was seeing if he could violate, how far he could take things. And the whole time, he thinks that I'm not aware of what he's doing. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, oh, he wants to play these type of games. And it might not end favorable for him. Literally. Hell or jail. And you in my house. Okay? So anyway, like I said, I told him, I said, get back. Get back, T. I was just trying to show you the music I was playing. And I'm like, look, I don't know if you do your mama like that or whatever, but don't ever run up on me like that in my house. And I mean, he was light, he was quick, he was, I didn't even hear him. I'm like, don't ever do that. And you're all in my face. You're in my personal space. You got the computer so close to my face, I turn around, my lips are down there touching the screen. Don't you ever do that again. I was just trying to show you. I'm like, don't ever do that again. So I noticed that T would do all kind of idiotic garbage. He would, you would get the cheese, the pull apart cheeses. He would peel them all the way at the top, peel them back, but he wouldn't all the way open them. He would, I buy extra things, so that I don't have to go to the store. He would open up seasonings, like garlic powder and all that. He would peel that. He would pop the top and peel it off and then put the top back on. He went into my dependents' bathroom that they shared that I cleaned on a regular. I made sure I bleached it down every 2 days and cleaned the tub and the shower and all that. He went in there and he sprayed his cologne all over the medicine cabinet, all over my pen and stuff. T was constantly doing bullshit. He was an angry man. And he was pissed that he saw the life that his father and I and my dependent was living. He wanted that for his mother and his father. He was still pissed about that. And trust and believe you me, I recognized all that. See, when I first started on part 1, I was tired because it's early in the morning. Now I'm up. Excuse me. Now I'm up because I'm a little upset about the fact that I let somebody come in my house and screw with me like I did, trying to be kind. People will take your kindness for weakness. So anyway, I bought cupcakes. T would lick on the top of the cupcakes and rub his fingers all on the top of the cupcakes and, try to make it seem like they were smeared. And he would drink out of the bottles of juice after he spit in some of them and drink, and I would go in the kitchen and open up the tops on the, in the bottles And I could smell his saliva where he hadn't even brushed his teeth because his breath smelled a certain way. You know, some of us women, we got those noses. We can smell funk and breath and underarms. And, you know, I just, ooh, God. Ooh, Jehovah. Jehovah keep me. I'm trying to keep it cute on this, on Beyonce's internet. So, T did a lot of dirty, filthy things. So I was getting fed up with T. And T would always say, oh, what are you going to do? Throw me out. And I was like, no, you're going to throw your damn self out of here with that type of behavior. With that type of behavior, you will throw your damn self up out of here. I won't have to do it. You'll do it for yourself. What do you mean? I said, keep it up and you'll see. Week number 3. Going through the same stuff. I decided, I said, T, you can wash your own clothes. I said, not only that, my dependent is not here right now, so you're the only one using the bathroom. You need to clean the bathroom. I will not be cleaning behind you anymore because his behavior was out of control, and he didn't deserve it. He got pissed. T started doing just a lot of dirty little things. I would find things. You know, he would take things out the deep freezer and throw them behind the deep freezer, food and things of that nature. And of course, I was in the room every 2 to 3 days crying on his dad's side of the bed, sitting on his dad's side of the, I'm like, he doesn't want a mother. I'm not trying to be his mother. He doesn't want a positive female role model. He doesn't want that. T is here to kill, steal, and destroy. T is a demon. I said, I'm sorry, I just got to tell you the truth. T is a demon. And so he's like, I just don't think he's, you know, he came out and he asked T, did you leave the refrigerator door open? And T was like, no, I didn't do. And then my man would turn his back. T would wink at me and smile. I said, oh, that's what we're doing. I said, baby, I want to tell you right in front of your son's face. I said, don't fuck with me. Don't nitpick with me. Don't play with me and don't lie to me. And don't you ever steal from me. I said, this is the 3rd week you've been here. And you trying me. You really trying it. And so his dad was like, my man was like, it'll be all right. You know, he's just trying to feel his way in. I'm like, no, it's worse than that. So I asked T not to take pictures of me because he had took pictures of every certificate, every license, every college degree, everything that I had. That, you know, the wall, we have a wall of honors. And he had took pictures of, you know, my dependents, high school diploma, my college diploma, you know, my certificates in, you know, et cetera, my licenses and this and that through the state. And he was sending it to his mother. And the reason that I know that is because he was washing his clothes in the laundry room, looking at me dirty, you know. And I was like, have you talked to your mother? I don't want to talk to her. She's verbally and physically abusive. And I'm like, I understand. You only get one mother. You don't have to talk to her. I said, what you can do is you can check on her. You know what I mean? You don't have to check in with her. You can check on her, you know, once a month or twice a month. Check on her. You're not checking in. And I said, and if she says something you don't like, you have to teach her how to set boundaries with you. How to set boundaries with her. That's what I meant to say. I'm still a little tired. You set boundaries with her. You teach her how to treat you. So if she says something to you that you don't like, hey, Ma, I was just calling to see how you were doing. You know, I really don't like what you just said. I'm going to get off the phone and I'll talk to you later. And if she calls back, don't answer. Unless it's an emergency. And if your mother plays games like we know she does, you know, and she says, oh, this and that, or I really need you to call, just don't call back. Because, you know, her brother will call you if that's the case. Speaking of her brother. So T sits up here and he asks me, you know, he tells me her brother, his mother's brother is like, which is his uncle, is like his brother. And he's like, you know, because they're kind of, you know, close in age. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Because, see, I'm way younger than my husband. And I'm younger than his ex-wife brother, which is T's uncle. So I'm younger than T's uncle. So I'm very much so almost close in age with T. You know. So anyway, T, he's like, what do you think about, my uncle brother coming to stay? I said, to stay with who? Well, to stay up here with us. He wants to visit. I was like, no, he can never. Your mother's brother can never come and stay in our home. Never. Never. The entire time that I was dating your father, your mother never wanted to meet me. And I've always wanted to meet her when you came up here. Because she came up here and picked you up once, and she dodged me. She never talked to me. She never wanted to talk to me. She never even wanted to know who you were around. And that speaks volumes on what type of mother that you have. And so I was like, no, your uncle cannot come stay, because then your mother will be coming up here trying to stay, and I'm not dealing with that. The party's over for that. I turned around later on that night. I had got done cooking us all dinner. T and my man came out to get him some water. T turned around and had my man talking to his brother-in-law, his uncle. And I just thought he had called him. I just thought that was some of the dirtiest shit. And so, of course, I didn't do any arguing about it because I didn't want T to get the victory over that. But then I saw some more spit and something else, because T had started spitting and seasoning, and he just was doing some of everything. So I told my man, I said, get the cooler out of the front hall closet. I said, and you need to go and get some ice from the gas station. Come on, come on back. So buy these things from the store, because all of this stuff in here is going in the trash tonight. He's spitting all of this stuff, and guess what? I'm not even going to let him drink it. He can drink water, and we drink bottled waters. And T would untighten the top of the bottled water where you could see where it was popped, but it wasn't opened. He had tried to pop half he would just do some of the most dirty, undermined, idiotic shit. T was a sociopath. He's a sociopath. And I had figured it out. His father just was like, oh, he's trying to figure out his way. I'm like, I don't think T gonna be able to stay with us much longer. Week 4. We all having a good time, and, I'm cooking, and T comes in, my man's at the table filling out paperwork, and I'm cooking, and T comes in the kitchen, and he breaks down crying. So we sit at the dining room table, and we're talking, and T told us some of the most explicit, mind-boggling things that happened with his backwoods mother and some of her male companions. And I kind of figured some things, weren't quite right. I just didn't think it was that, and I'm not going to speak on it. All I will say is this. At that point, I knew it was above me. I am only a mental health therapist and a social worker, and guess what? He needs a psychiatrist. And I looked, and we all started crying. T started crying. My man started crying. I started crying. And at that point, I knew that T wasn't lying, because T is a habitual and pathological liar. I looked in that young man's eyes. He wasn't lying. And I was just floored. I had to get up, push myself back from the table, excuse myself, and go in the room and get myself all the way together. I'm talking about all the way together. And then come back out. That's how above me it was. And that's why his sexuality is partially the way that it is. The next day, you know, let me skip back a little bit. Before my dependent went to back to school, because my dependent went back to school the second week T was here. We're all sitting on the couch and we're watching the big screen TV. And T started talking about, he does porn. And this is why I don't have a problem showing his face on the internet. It's already on there. And, this was a shocker. We're sitting there and I'm just like, oh my gosh, here we go. It's one thing after the other with T. T is really, really out there. He loves his dog collars and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I said, well, T, in the lifestyle that you live in, are you the top or the bottom, or, because he was free about talking about it. He told, any questions you have, I don't care. And, I'm free with it. He was like, I like feminine, anything feminine. I said, okay. He said, but I don't mind getting, I said, oh, so you do the bending. Well, I do the bending and I don't mind getting bent over myself. Now this young 26-year-old man is saying this in front of my dependent and his heterosexual father, who sat there and teared up. He didn't drop a tear though. I have to give it to him. He didn't drop a tear. And I was like, at that point, my dependent excused themselves, left, and never returned to the couch. Shortly after that, I went into the kitchen and cooked dinner. Week 4. I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner. I get done. I go and serve T his dinner, because that's what I do, on his tray in his room. And I'm like, you want to sit at the table and kitchen dining room table and eat with us? No, that's okay. And I'm like, okay. So, we're having salad, spinach salad, and we're sitting at the table eating, his father and I, and all I know is T sounded like he threw his plate down or something on the tray, and he ran in the kitchen and he was looking. And I said, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? I was just wondering. I said, wondering what? I said, look, let me tell you something, T. I don't screw with people's food. I don't mess with people's food. I don't mess with what people drink in, or drink out of. I said, just because you do those disgusting, diabolical, filthy things, I said, I don't do that. We don't do that here. So you don't have to worry about me messing with your food. I wouldn't do that. And so, it just got worse after that. The next day, I was in the kitchen trying to, because we had put in to order a baby refrigerator, a small refrigerator to go in our bedroom. And that's how bad T had gotten. I couldn't eat nothing. Everything that was open, I threw it away, all the sauces and everything. I just couldn't eat none of that stuff, and I brought everything in my room. I had cleaned out the cupboards. I couldn't take all the seasonings out, but the seasonings that I used, I brought them in my room, in my bedroom. It was just a mess. T had to go. T had to go. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. The next night, this is week 4, T, he got angry. He balled his fist up. I said something to him, and I said, don't look at me like that, because he was looking at me like he wanted to kick my tail ever since he was up in here. I said, and why do you always ball your fists up? You got your fist balled. Don't ball your fists up at me. You're standing in an aggressive stance. So T, he turned around, and I went into the living room to pick some up. And at this time, my piece was on my hip. And T ran up. This is the 3rd time. I'm telling you, the 3rd time T done ran up on me in my damn house. T runs up on me with his fist balled up and my back turned. And I immediately turned around, and saw him all up in my face with his fist. And I just grabbed my stuff, my piece right out my holster. And I said, get the fuck back. Get back before I blow you back. You trying to fight me in my house? And he just dropped to the floor, rolling around like a snake and a fish out of. I wouldn't. I was just. I said, you gotta go. You gotta go. This is it. This is it. You're gonna have to get your ass out of here. So I told my man. He was like, I talk to him. I'm like. So the next night, we was having drinks. Because my man like, well, it's the weekend. Let's try to smooth things over. Let's try to mellow it out. And, I'm not, it ain't no big drinking for me. I'm more like a mimosa type of girl, So I was having like a peach Bellini or something like that. I'm more of a champagne girl, if any drinking. So teed and went and spent my man's money, and he got like a fifth and of something. Mind you, T was always taking his stuff and putting it in his room next to him, and I'm like, I don't want food in the room. When you get done with your tray, you need to bring your tray in the kitchen, and why don't you leave your drinks and everything in the kitchen? He would never do it until week 3, when he realized we didn't drink what he drank. He was buying all that organic stuff we didn't like, just weird stuff that we didn't drink. And he didn't drink it either, because he ended up throwing it away. He just did it out of spite to spend our money. And so my man got tired. He went in the room. Nah, my dependent's at school. So my dependent has been gone since week 2 of T being here. So my dependent hasn't been here for a majority of the stuff, other than him not bathing for 7 days, week 1. So, and I'm glad about that, because if he would have ran up on my dependent, it would have been hell or jail. So anyway, I go into the kitchen, and T just, out of nowhere, he in the kitchen, he's standing over me, and he's apologizing. Because at this point, I know T his ass is out of here. And I'm like, it's okay. And I just don't have anywhere to go, and I just don't want to be on the street again. And I grabbed his shoulder and said, look, young man, if you don't stay here, we're not gonna let you be homeless. We're not heartless. We're not gonna let you be homeless. You probably just won't be still. Well, who's gonna pay for it? I'm like, your father's gonna pay for it. He let your ass come up here. He'll pay for it. I said, however, we're not gonna pay for it forever. So anyway, T then turned around and kissed me in my mouth, dead smack in my mouth, and I almost threw up. And I went and told, I said, don't do that. Don't ever do it again. See, T was doing anything he could to ruin our relationship. And when he realized the little dirty things that he was doing, spitting and everything he was doing, he realized that didn't work. He tried to use sex. And I'm just like, no, that was too much for me. That was the bottom line. I'm like, nah. And I told my man, you got to get him up out of here. Get him up out of here tomorrow. He got to go. And then I said, because my man was like, well, I'm about to get up and talk to him about that. I said, you don't talk to him about nothing else? Not for real. So I said, he's drunk. I said, we'll talk to him tomorrow. The next thing I know, T done sent a love song. And I showed his father the love song he sent to me after we had went to sleep. We went in a room, shut the door. And you got to know, we was locking our doors every night. My dependent and us. We were locking our doors every night. So it was too much. The next day I thought about it, because my man was like, sleep on it. I thought about it. I was like, get this Igor out of my house. Get him out of my home. Get him out of my home. So T packed the stuff up, and my man took him to a hotel, and we ended up paying for T to stay in a hotel, a room by himself. We were paying a good $1,200 a month for T because of his bad behavior. And then we were buying his food. I said, you got to get a job. So the first month, he finally got a job. It took him almost a month to get the job. He got the job, and I'm like, you're going to have to start paying on your room. And then it got to the point where I said, you're going to have to, we were buying this food too. I'm like, okay, we'll buy your food, but you're going to have to pay half on the room. Because we were paying everything but $100 a week. Because the room, you had to pay every week. And so I'm like, wait a minute, baby, we're not doing this. There is no rewards for bad consequences. I told T, you need to find a roommate where you can go live in somebody's house and pay for a single room. And we'll help you pay for that room, for a minute. Till you really cool. And I said, his father was like, and I'll help you get a car, man, And I didn't have no problems with that. I'm like, whatever. Okay? I just don't want him in my house. So T was constantly talking to me like a fool because I was handling his bank account, checking to see if he was, spending money like he was supposed to, because you're not going to take any of my money and my man's money and send it to your mother. I'm sorry, we're not playing those games. So I need to, you want to know exactly where all the money's going. I said, yeah, well, I don't have any money to give anyone. I said, well, we know you like to give your mother money, and I'm not playing those type of games. Because if that's the case, you can pay for your own room and your own food. So we had finally found T somewhere to stay. Out in Brownstown somewhere. I don't know. We finally found him somewhere to stay. He's got a roommate. And this roommate has a girlfriend. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God. Here we go. But hey, he pulled that shit with some of them Caucasian men. He might end up, y'all know how that go. He better leave them people alone. I don't care about what happens to T. T can never come back to my house. T can never dawn on my doorstep. T can never call us again. T told his father while he was out of our home that I tried to do identity theft on his broke ass with no bad credit. When my dependent has almost an 800 credit score, and I do too. T has lied on me and done all kind of malicious, just horrible, despicable, diabolical garbage. We're through with T. T is blocked from our social media. T can't call any of us. And we have I've made sure that I told, since they want to know what's happening with T. Oh yeah, I told my man's mother's side of the family, now there's your T for you. There's your piping hot tea. That's what happened with T. Don't ask me about no damn T no more. I don't care about T. T is now 27. It has been a whole year. T can never call back. T stayed in our place for 1 month and stayed in a hotel for 6 months. We paid 6 months for him to stay in a hotel, and we paid for food. And we paid for his clothes, and then he started helping us. The 3rd month he was in the hotel with very little money because we were trying to help him save up money to go get him an apartment. He couldn't get an apartment, his credit is bad, but you're going to tell your father that I was trying to do. He wasn't smart enough to say identity theft. I don't know what she was trying to do. I said, and what do you mean by that? I don't play those type of games. I have licenses to the state. You're not about to sit up here and play no games with me while I lose my license. Either one of them. That's why I don't play with a lot of black garbage and white trash. I digress. I don't play with people. I don't play with people, period, and I'm not going to let people play with me. I don't screw with people's livelihoods, don't screw with mine. So T is out forever. T can never call. And then he said, Dad, what can I call you? He was like, no, I'm not going against my wife. I went against her for the whole duration that you came back, 6 months that you came back, and sorry. The party's over. I'm not going against my wife. So you did what you did, and these are the consequences. I'm not going against my wife. Take care, son. I said, click up. Shit. Don't call back. The moral to this story is it's a difference when your child is a minor, because I encouraged T to get some type of counseling the entire time he was here, because it was over my head. It was above me. It was above me. It was above me. I couldn't do anything with it. He needs a psychiatrist. And he needs to be on some type of medication. So, and he's a drug addict. And I'm not talking about crack or opioids or pills and none of that. You all can figure it out, or coca, things of that nature. I'm not going to put his business out there like that, even though I put what he did out there. It's certain things that I'm just not going to say because it's just too deep. And I feel sorry for him. But T better not ever dawn on my doorstep again, never. He thought he was going to get out there in our luxury cars and tear that shit up. And then he asked my man, whose Audi is this? I said, I don't want him in our cars. You ride him in the SUV that we have. I don't want him in our luxury cars. You ride him in the SUV we have. Because see, T dirty enough to get in there and tear up the Bose speakers and tear up the leather and all that. And see, T, I'm not going to play with T. That's all I have to say. T had it real good. He was being driven around, chauffeured around, and he was laying up great. And like I told him, now I see why nobody on your mother's side wants to deal with you. What does that mean? I said it means exactly what I said. Take care, T. Don't bother to call back. Click up. Like I said, if you have a minor and those are your stepchildren, and you treat everybody good regardless of their age. However, when you're dealing with grown-ass people, take care. If they're violating you, disrespecting you in your home, you get your ass, take care. Take care. I knew better. Something told me to tell him no before when he called me. Like, sorry, we don't have no room in the inn. I just didn't want to be that slit throat, but I already knew what was coming my way. I already knew it. And I'm going to tell you another thing. My relationship has not recovered from this. And I don't know if it will. Because T did a lot more stuff than that. Nothing physical or anything like that. He just did a lot more, greasy, dirty stuff. No, he stole from me on the way out the door. When I threw his ass out of here, he stole some things. T just was a real loser. He's a real loser. So, true seeking, and I'm out. Surviving T. My stepson. Well, nothing no more.